If you've been listening to us for a while, have you been? You may have been hearing us say often, because we say it often, that everything that you want, whether it is a material object or a stack of money or a relationship or a circumstance or an event, everything that you want is because you believe you will feel better in the having of it. And we want you to understand that you will feel better in the wanting of it. You will feel better in its reason for being. You will feel better for the focal point of it. You will feel better for the reason to focus for it, you see. And the outcomes must come. They lean your way, they lean your way, they lean your way. You get all of the things that you want. There is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. But you have to decide, what is it that you want? You have the energy, the power that creates worlds flowing to you and through you. But it doesn't flow to you because you're just standing there. It flows to you because you're standing there with desire. You're standing there focused upon something. You're standing there having sifted through contrast and having put things into your vortex. And that vortex, which you can't see or smell or hear or taste or touch, is a moving, it is moving energy. And the energy that is moving in your vortex, because of all of the contents that you've put there, one rocket of desire after the other, that moving synergy, that energy is calling source to it. The question that this workshop wants to help you to focus upon and wants to help you to understand, to identify, to get your thoughts around and then to do something deliberate about is that we want you to be one of those cooperative components that's already moving with that energy. We don't want you to be standing on the outside of this vibrational reality that you want so much, needing something about it to pop before you can celebrate. We want the celebration on the way to the Super Bowl. We want the celebration all along the way. We want you to be celebrating that you gave birth to the idea to begin with. That took something. If you've been listening to us for a while, and we know that you have, you've been hearing us talking about this vortex, how the contrast helps you to launch these rockets, and the vortex collects them, and law of attraction brings all cooperative components to them. And recently we've been explaining to you that that vortex is a pure positive energy creation. And the vibration of it is high and pure because it contains no doubt. It contains no frustration. It contains no worry. There's no fear. There's no pessimism. That vortex is full of all of the possibilities of all of the things that you are asking for. It's high flying energy, and it moves from your perspective completely resistant free. And so for what you have put into this vortex to now manifest, or a better way of saying that is to be revealed to you, you've got to achieve a similar frequency to what your vortex is. So as you raise the frequency of that which is you, then what is in your vortex flows. It flows from the vortex into your experience. And that is the grid filling in. It's the grid filling in. It's your point of attraction is what we are calling the grid. It's you right there where you stand, filling in, being filled in with the contents that you have been selecting along your way that you have put into your vortex. So as your grid is filling in, the thing that we want you to understand is that sometimes the initial idea, or what you think is the initial idea, is the grid filling in. So let's say you're living some contrast. You know what you don't want. You really know what you don't want. It probably involves other people or another person. Something's going on. You're observing the what isness of it, which is natural because here you are focused in the what isness of this leading edge time-space reality. You're going to look at it. You're going to see it. You're going to know what's going on. So you're looking at some of it, and the contrast is sort of punching you. You can feel that there is something about this that you don't want. And in that process, you're launching some rockets. What we are wanting to submit to you is that every place you stand is your grid filling in, because things are always working out for you. That's the premise that so many of you have forgotten. Abraham, do you mean that when I'm in the middle of getting something that I very much don't want, that also is the grid filling in for me? Yes. And we have a question back to you. Did that contrast help you to define more clearly? Yeah. Did that contrast help you sharpen your desire into more specifics? Did that contrast, as you focused upon it, bring sometimes more contrast and more contrast that made you even more sure of what you wanted? And is that focus of value to you? So isn't everything that's happening, whether you're standing in a culmination that isn't what you want, isn't it still things working out for you? Isn't it? So if you can relax and know that, then you can start having fun with the creation. But most humans, they only want to have fun with the manifestation. And you know how long the manifestation lasts? Not that long. Not that long. There's another and another and another. So it's time for you. We love you so much. You know what's coming next. To face the fact that you are eternally on your way to someplace better. Eternally. You're eternally on your way to yet another improvement that your life has helped you to define. And when you relax and accept the perfection of the rotten thing that's happening right now, when you accept the perfection of this not going that well, but making you more sure about what you want, the minute you get over victimhood, the minute you get over feeling sorry for yourself, the minute you get over blaming someone else for where you stand, the minute you get over being unhappy about where you stand and instead appreciative of the opportunity for the clarity of focus that's happening to you, you're going to have fun along the way of your journey. And then, then you get to just start molding the clay. We don't see any magnificent sculptors taking their big clump of clay, getting their hands in it and saying, oh, geez. There's got to be a better way. And we don't see them taking that big clump of clay and slapping it down on the table and saying, well, that didn't turn out very well. They don't expect it to. In other words, everything that's happening is happening to your advantage. You just aren't ready to accept that everything is happening to your advantage. Because somewhere along the line, you've come to feel competitive. You've been made to feel less than. Someone's explained to you that you've got to buck up and that you've got to do your part and that you've got to pull your weight and that you've got to measure up. And that's the hard part because it's so difficult, even at early ages, to figure out which measuring stick you are trying to measure up with or to. So we just want to remind you that you came from non-physical into this focus with such clear intention of the fun that you would have. So eager about exploring what's around you and not even being very particular about where you jumped in because you knew wherever it was going to inspire a fresh new idea within you because you knew you weren't going to bring the memory of what you've lived before. You knew you were going to just jump in fresh as a fresh new point of attraction, a fresh new grid, not filled in with much detail, just a fresh new vibrationally outputting grid. And you knew that law of attraction would immediately begin bringing to you responses to that grid. And you knew that no matter what those responses were, that you were going to observe them and respond to them and launch rockets about them and begin the creation of your conscious, from this standpoint, vortex. We want to remind you that since you were source energy before you came into this physical body, that much of your grid was already in place. Your point of attraction was stable. It was a grid of well-being. But also, much of your vortex was in place as well, because you held intentions when you decided to come. You knew it would be rewarding. You knew it would be fun. You knew it would be exhilarating. You knew it would be exciting. You knew that it would be interesting. You knew it would be provocative. You knew that it would capture your attention, and you knew that you would focus. And you knew that when you focused, that the energy that creates worlds would flow through you. And you knew that you were going to get to direct the energy that creates worlds toward the specific things that were important to you. And you eagerly came forth into that fresh new body, that fresh new perspective, understanding these things also. You knew that even though you were in this wee small body, no teeth, pretty awkward, you knew that the larger part of you would remain non-physically focused. And you knew that you had already attracted an enormous amount of well-being to that point of attention. And you knew that unless you began to do those things that you do when you were in physical form that would add contradictory energy to what you were about, you knew that well-being would come your way. But you knew that no matter what came your way, you would get clearer. And the most significant thing that you knew then, that many of you have forgotten now, that we want to remind you about now, you knew that no matter what, in any point in time, you could regain your balance, realign with that energy that creates worlds, come into vibrational harmony with who you really are, and in your new balanced state, begin again, right here, right now, where all of your power is, where the juncture of you and you meet. You knew that you could raise the vibration of your being, and that you would then don the clarity of that broader perspective. In other words, you knew that in any moment you could see through the eyes of source into whatever situation or conversation you were about.